The morning sun had barely risen over the quiet California hills when the news alert struck like lightning. Headlines flashed everywhere. New revelations linked to ex-Prince Andrew send shockwaves through the royal sphere. Though thousands of miles away from the palace, the tremor reached a peaceful kitchen in Montecito, where Meghan sat reading on her tablet, her expression tightening as every detail unfolded. She knew controversies from the past had a strange way of resurfacing, but she hadn't expected this one to circle back around with such force, nor to drag her family's name into the global frenzy once again. Within minutes, the media machine began spinning theories, speculations, and whispered accusations. Social pages flooded with comments accusing Harry of being torn between loyalty to the family he left behind and the life he built with her. Harry walked into the kitchen moments later, still groggy, but the look on Meghan's face told him everything before she spoke a word. She gently slid the tablet toward him. His eyes scanned the headline, then the body of the article, and a quiet heaviness settled in his chest. "It's starting again," Meghan whispered. "It never stops," he replied, rubbing his forehead. "But we'll get through it." Despite his calm tone, Meghan could see the inner conflict flickering behind his eyes. He had made a deliberate choice years ago to step away from the chaos, but the world refused to let him forget the ties he once had. By the time noon arrived, major networks were openly questioning whether Harry would take a stance, and commentators debated whether Meghan supported or opposed him speaking publicly. The pressure built like a pot ready to boil over. Meghan reached for his hand. "Whatever comes next," she said softly, "let's decide it together." But deep inside, she could sense a divide forming. Faint, quiet, but undeniably real. By evening, their private home felt less like a sanctuary and more like a battleground between two worlds. Harry had tried and failed to separate. He spent hours pacing in his office, phone pressed to his ear as advisors and old contacts tried to sway him into making a statement. "Say nothing," one urged. "Step forward," another insisted. "Distance yourself," a third pushed. Each call made Meghan feel the walls closing in. She knew Harry's past with the royal family was a wound that healed slowly and reopened easily. This new scandal forced him to confront memories he preferred to leave buried. Meanwhile, the world outside painted her as the reason for his silence or his hesitation, depending on which outlet was winning the ratings war that hour. After the 10th call ended, Harry leaned against the bookshelf, exhausted. Meghan stepped into the doorway, watching him silently. She wanted to hug him, to tell him he didn't owe anyone anything. But she also understood the inner conflict tearing him in two. "You're being pulled back into something that broke you," she said quietly. "And I can't ignore it forever," Harry replied. "People want answers. They expect me to say something. But what do you want?" she asked. He hesitated, a hesitation that cut her deeper than any headline. That pause felt like a thin crack stretching between them. "I don't know," he admitted. The words hung between them like fog. Meghan walked closer. "I'm with you, but I don't want us dragged into battles that aren't ours." Harry looked up at her, eyes full of conflict. "It will always be mine, Meg, no matter how far I walk." Those words struck a nerve she hadn't expected. She stepped back, breath faltering. Suddenly, it wasn't the media dividing them. It was the lingering shadow of a world Harry had never fully left. The silence that followed was colder than any argument. The night deepened and the house fell quiet. Meghan sat alone on the balcony, watching the distant lights of the coastline flicker like scattered stars. She replayed Harry's words repeatedly. The fear that had been growing all day finally solidified. Fear that this scandal would undo years of healing between them. Harry found her there, wrapped in a blanket, the cool air brushing against her face. He approached slowly, unsure whether he was welcome, but she didn't turn away. "Can we talk?" he asked. "Please," she replied softly. He sat beside her, letting the silence settle before speaking. "I didn't mean to make you feel like you're on the outside of my decisions." Meghan took a breath. "It's not that, I've seen how these headlines affect you, and how they affect us. I don't want anything pulling you back into a life that nearly destroyed you." He nodded. "I know, and I'm sorry. I felt torn. Like I had to choose between who I was and who I am now. But the truth is, you're my home. This life we built is my reality. Whatever chaos comes from the past, I want to face it with you, not alone. Her eyes softened, but the ache remained. Then promise me something, not for the world, not for the media, for us. Anything, he said. Don't let old ghosts control your future. He placed his hand over hers. I won't. They stayed there, watching the quiet night slowly swallow the noise of the day. The tension softened, the divide closed, and the bond between them felt steadier. By morning, they released a simple joint statement, measured, united, and firm. The world would interpret it however it wanted. But behind the headlines, behind the storm, they stood together. Once again, always choosing each other before the noise.